Kama wewe ni mtu mjinga, huna sera, huna mpango, huna agenda, hata akili huna, unafikiri hawa wananchi watakupatia nafasi? Achana na hiyo mzee bwana, achana mchezo. Ama namna gani my friends? Vihiga hoye! Vihiga hoye! Majengo hoye! Mnasema tuendelee pamoja? Tutatembea pamoja? Mimi na huyu Mwame Musalia tutembee pamoja? Na huyu Kagesi tutembee pamoja?
In 2022, they were inseparable.
My friend, I present to you the Kenya Kwanza running mate candidate, my brother and friend, Rigathi Gachagua.
Together, they built the Hustler Nation movement, promising to uplift the ordinary Kenyan and challenge the so-called dynasties. It was a fairly calm Saturday afternoon in Majengo, Vihiga County. The sun blazed overhead, and locals gathered eagerly, waiting for their president to speak. And then William Ruto stepped onto the stage, confident, smiling, holding the microphone like a man in control. But what followed was far from ordinary. If you're a foolish person with no agenda, no plan, no brains, do you think Kenyans will elect you? Stop that nonsense. The crowd erupted in laughter and cheers.
Kama wewe ni mtu mjinga, huna sera, huna mpango, huna agenda, hata akili huna, unafikiri hawa wananchi watakupatia nafasi? Achana na hiyo mzee bwana, achana mchezo. Ama namna gani my friends? Vihiga hoye! Vihiga hoye! Majengo hoye! Mnasema tuendelee pamoja? Tutatembea pamoja? Mimi na huyu Mwame Musalia tutembee pamoja? Na huyu.
But behind the smiles and applause, there was tension, because everyone knew who those words were aimed at: his former deputy Rigathi Gachagua. This was not just the first time Ruto had taken a swipe at Gachagua.
Nilisikia mtu mwingine kumbafu anasema ati nani aliambia Ruto tunataka manyumba. Sasa mimi nataka niwaulize watu wa Kibra. Hapa mtu anaishi kwa nyumba ya haina choo, haina stima. Choo inatumiwa choo moja na watu familia 5, familia 10. Na huyu mtu mjinga ambaye ananiuliza nani alikuambia ati utujengee nyumba, ako na choo 5 kwa nyumba yake. Si huyo mtu ni kumbavu kabisa.
For months, the two had traded subtle jabs, but this time, Ruto went further, calling his critics brainless and planless. And while he never mentioned names, the message was loud and clear.
Hata na akili hana, anasema anataka kuongoza taifa letu. Mtu pumbavu mshenzi kama huyo anaweza kuendesha taifa ya nani bwana? Mombasa hoye! Pwani hoye! Kwani mnasema tuendelee?
Just weeks earlier, during a teachers' event at State House, Ruto had mocked his former deputy president in front of an audience of over 10,000 educators.
If you want to succeed, you put people around you who are more intelligent than you. Saa ile wanakusaidia kushine, you take the credit, wao ndio wanafanya job. Ndio. Nilikuwa na mwingine alikuwa analalamika hajasoma. Nikaona ataniangusha. Lakini ndugu.
He said, I had another deputy who used to lament about his level of education, and I feared he would fail me. That is why I replaced him with Professor Kindiki. The crowd laughed, but political observers did not. They knew this was personal. It didn't take long for Gachagua to respond. In a fiery rejoinder, he accused Ruto of being the real problem, calling him the father of corruption and tribalism. He didn't hold back. When you talk about incompetence, take a mirror and look at yourself, he said. Kenyans know who is corrupt and they know who is truly incompetent.
Mimi namuelewa sana, lakini uongo. That man lies without blinking. Amekuangalia tu namna hiyo na kudanganya. Tangu nizaliwe, I've never come across such a liar in my entire life. Na ilifika pahali mimi nikaona siwezani naye.
It was a direct hit, a public slap to the president's face. For many Kenyans, it felt like watching a bitter divorce unfold, one that had been brewing behind closed doors but finally burst into the open. So what really happened? How did the once inseparable duo, the political brothers of the Hustler movement, end up on opposition sides of the battlefield? Back then, Ruto picked Gachagua to be his running mate, a bold move that solidified his support in the Mount Kenya region. Together, they triumphed over the Raila-Uhuru alliance, promising a new dawn for ordinary Kenyans. But once in power, cracks began to show. Gachagua, known for his blunt talk and tribal loyalty, began to assert himself as the political kingpin of Mount Kenya. He started calling himself the truthful man and often clashed with Ruto's inner circle.
I'm the darling of the Kenyan people. As you have rightly said, when I was in Ukambani, everybody, thousands of people from that area wanted to hear from me. When I arrived in Mombasa, in Kilifi, in Malindi, everybody wanted to listen to me. When I went to Masailand.
Mchungaji umesema mimi ni mtu truthful. Mimi ndio nimekuwa na shida pale kwa serikali kwa sababu mimi ni mtu ya kuongea ukweli na serikali ni ya uongo.
Behind the scenes, sources say Ruto grew increasingly frustrated, accusing Gachagua of arrogance, corruption, and divisive politics. By 2024, the once strong partnership had turned toxic. There's another name that keeps coming up in this political drama, Musalia Mudavadi. The Prime Cabinet Secretary from Vihiga has quietly become one of Ruto's most trusted allies. And during that same fiery speech in Vihiga, Ruto turned to the cheering crowd and asked, "Do you agree that I continue working with Omwami Mudavadi?" The crowd roared, "Yes."
Niko na Omwami Musalia Mudavadi. Sindio? Awasalimieko. Omwami. Usalimieko hii watu ya hapa na tuko na mama wetu.
It was a clear sign Ruto was signaling a new political partnership, possibly even grooming Mudavadi as his future deputy or successor. For Gachagua, that was the final insult, being replaced not officially but symbolically in front of the nation. As the 2027 elections draw closer, the stakes couldn't be higher. Ruto wants to consolidate power and maintain control. Gachagua, on the other hand, sees himself as the voice of the Mount Kenya bloc, a region critical to any winning coalition. Insiders say Gachagua is already building alliances quietly, reaching out to disgruntled MPs and local leaders. Some even whispered that he could team up with opposition figures to challenge Ruto in 2027. If that happens, Kenya could see one of the most unpredictable elections in its history.